Welcome to the Helping Families Be Happy podcast, where we explore the often messy world of family, love, and relationships. I'm your host for this podcast, Adina Oberman, a mom, former preschool teacher, picture book lover, and member of the Familius marketing team. I'm also the creator of Big Books for Little Hands, a site dedicated to connecting parents and teachers with the best books for the ups and downs of life with little ones. We welcome today's guest, Alma Guzman. Alma is a cultural worker and bookworm from Huntington Park in Southeast Los Angeles. Her project, Libros con Alma, Books with Soul, launched in 2021 as a book sharing initiative that amplifies the stories of BIPOC authors and increases access to books in Spanish. Libros con Alma is dedicated to fostering community care and through books, invites readers to explore the beauty and complexities of our diverse cultures, histories, and identities. This episode aligns with the Familius habits, learn together and talk together. You can learn more about the Familius 10 Habits of Happy Families by going to the Habit Hub blog on familius.com. Welcome, Alma. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
So tell us about Libros con Alma and how you got started.
Yeah, I started in 2021. I noticed there was a lack of bookstores in Southeast LA. Southeast LA has been historically overlooked and underserved. And we have an abundance of libraries, but bookstores are really special places as well. And I love bookstores, and I wanted to just share books with folks. So I started asking for donations from folks in the community, from family members and friends, and the response was overwhelming. I got a bunch of books on my doorstep, and I started sharing these books with folks through pop-ups at local businesses, festivals, just events all around the community.
Do you have a specific genre of books, or do you kind of have books for all ages, all genres of readers?
It's all genres, all ages. I do focus on BIPOC books and books in Spanish. For me, it's important that we learn about our stories, learn about empathy and compassion. And then, Southeast LA is comprised of a mostly Latine population. So for me, it was important to share access to books in Spanish as well.
Absolutely. It's so important for everyone to see themselves in the voices of, their community, but also, the world at large. It's kind of something that we've talked about on the podcast a bunch, especially for children to see themselves reflected in the pages of the books and to see their stories as those reflected in the books that they read. So it sounds like you're doing really important work.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely agree. I just think about growing up and not, seeing myself in the pages of books that I read, and how weird that was for me. And I didn't start reading about, characters that I related with or I was inspired by until I went to college and I started reading. I started taking very specific classes on Latina literature or Chicano literature or I remember reading Octavia Butler for the first time and it was mind-blowing. So that was something that I definitely wanted to share with folks in my community.
Since we're talking about books and favorites and authors that made an impact, can you share some other authors or some other titles aside from Octavia Butler who made an impact on you?
Yeah, I just the book that I'm recommending, that I have been recommending recently is The Last Cuentista by Donna Barba Higuera, who wrote this story. It's a dystopian novel for middle grade students or children. And it's about the end of the world, actually, but it's also about preserving culture and preserving our stories. And it's about, the impacts of colonizing outer space. So very important, very heavy topics, but it's all about, family and love and survival. So I love that book. And I'm always telling folks to read it, to pick it up.
That sounds really interesting. And also, um, even though it has like a sci-fi um, setting, it sounds like it's a really interesting way to talk about all of these really important topics and values. So I hope our
Yeah.
listeners will get a chance to check that out. I want to talk a little bit more about the work that you do. So can you talk to our audience a little bit about the impact that you and the books that you share will make on the community in Southeast LA?
Yeah. What I realized when I was going to these pop-ups or organizing these pop-ups is that a lot of folks, yeah, were so surprised when they picked up the book and were like, can I really take it home? Is this free? And I'm like, yes, take it home and don't worry about, like bringing it back to me. Feel free to pass it on to the next person or keep it. And yeah, folks were so surprised, nervous, scared to take a book with them. And that really made me, I don't even know. Like, yeah, I just kind of made me. I was surprised and made me sad, and it made me want to continue doing this and grow this project. And I mean, everyone deserves to have books in their home. Um, Everyone deserves to have books they own that belong to them. So that was one surprising thing that I realized when I was doing these pop-ups, and something that keeps me going is that, yeah, I just want folks to own their own books, and share the power of stories and storytelling with their families.
That sounds like something that would really make an impact um, on me as well. Just sort of this feeling that having um, books in your home seems um, almost like a luxury or something that not everybody gets to experience. That's a very very powerful way of looking at the community that you serve. You mentioned at the top of the episode that it's a historically overlooked and underserved community, and that that feeling of, are you sure I can take this book home, really illustrates how what that looks like for people on a day-to-day basis. And it for some of the people that you've met, that looks like, are you sure I should take this book home? And are you sure it's really free? And is it okay? What a powerful experience for you, and also a really powerful message that you've given to your community, that books are for everyone, and that everyone is deserving of books. And like you said, for it to have their story told and the stories of others around them told.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I keep doing this. It's also very beautiful to see, when I'm recommending books or talking, about books that have changed my life to other people. They'll start telling me about books, about the books that changed their lives, the books that they want others to read. Recently, I was awarded a fellowship, and I was able to expand on this project. I was able to create a project called Quintame, where I started documenting the conversations that I was having with other readers in Southeast LA. And I started asking them about their favorite books and the books that they would recommend to their Southeast LA neighbors. So I worked with around 9 or 10 local artists, And one of those artists was able to hand draw portraits of the folks that I was collecting book recommendations from. And so earlier this summer, I was able to host an exhibition where we showcase these portraits, favorite books, and audio. So yeah, we had a really amazing celebration where we had a screen printing of totes and free food and music, and folks were, just having a great time, with books and sharing their stories. So it was such an amazing time.
It sounds like you are not only creating an impact for people within their own home and within their own experience, but you're creating these spaces where so much is happening, so many powerful experiences, so much exchange of ideas and community that goes beyond um, handing someone a book. And that sounds like an incredibly powerful gift that you're giving to your community. Is there a place maybe online where our listeners could look at some of the art or some of the photos from the experience?
Yeah, so right now, only Instagram has some of the photos, but I am actually working on a website. So it's more of an archival thing because the exhibition recently closed. It closed earlier in October. But yeah, in the next couple of weeks, I'll be launching this website and it will host all the portraits that were painted, all the books that were recommended, all the photos that were taken at the event. I also worked with an artist who did a mural, kind of celebrating the community. So that will also be showcased or presented in the website.
Is the mural still available to be seen in person, or it's also been part of the exhibit that's been finished?
Yeah, it was part of the exhibit. So yeah, it came down with the exhibit. It still lives on totes. So it was a mini version of the artwork was printed on totes, and so you'll see folks walking around town with the totes, which is always really lovely and amazing to see. I always my heart bursts whenever I see the tote, yeah, around town.
As it should, as it should. So you host pop-ups and you've done this incredible work with Quintame and the art and stories of the readers that you're impacting. Can you tell us what is coming up next for you? What's else in the works?
Yeah, so I am partnering with one of the readers, one of the readers that was presented in the exhibition. Her name is Melina, and she also has this project called Te Quiero Mosh, where she, focuses on music. And so she recommended a book called Trece Latas de Atún, and it's by an artist called Amandititita. And she agreed to partner with me so that we can share this book with the community. So we away about 12 copies of the book. We're calling it Spanglish Book Club because its purpose is for us to create a space where we feel safe and comfortable in practicing and speaking Spanish. So yeah, so the book is entirely in Spanish, but yeah, we'll be kind of, speaking English, Spanish during our meeting. It's actually comprised of three gatherings. So one is a listening party because the author is a musician. So we'll be listening to some of the music mentioned in the book and some of her music. The second gathering is the actual book club. And the third gathering is a writing, journaling workshop. And it's open to the public.
Where can people find more information about that?
Sure. On Instagram, so my handle is Libros con Alma, and the link to RSVP is on the profile.
Well, you're doing so many different things. Do you have a big picture? Do you have a larger goal that you hope to work towards, or a larger project that you are hoping to get to in the future?
Yeah, so my goal is to continue reaching folks all across the community. So as I had mentioned earlier, Southeast LA is comprised of about 11 communities. So my goal is to meet people where they're at. And so that's through pop-ups and hopefully a bookmobile in the future.
Well, keep us posted about that because that sounds like an incredible project, an incredible end game. As
Thank
we
you.
begin to wind down, can you tell us one more time where our listeners can get in touch with you?
Yeah, I post all about Libros con Alma pop-ups on Instagram. Again, the handle is Libros con Alma.
Thank you so much for being with us today, Alma.
Thank you for
As we
having me.
As we conclude today's podcast, I'd like to thank Familius for their support in bringing this podcast to your ears and your heart. We'd be thrilled if you subscribed to the podcast and left us a review. And when you're ready for the next amazing book adventure, we'd be honored if you choose a book from Familius. One step at a time, we can make the world a happier